The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
There was a beautiful Torah-dika mishpacha in Eretz Yisrael that raised special children with sterling midas, but for some reason, one of their children decided to embark upon a different path. You know, people call it OTD, off the derech, probably better to say on their derech. And this child strayed in a very, very big way. And it got to a point where the father couldn't deal with it, the siblings couldn't deal with it, and they erased this boy from their memory. But the mother of this child, this young boy, never gave up on him. And she kept in touch with him clandestinely. And while the next generation didn't even know they had an uncle, and many of the cousins didn't know that there was a cousin, they just thought it was the regular family, the mother, with tremendous mesiras nefesh, love, unconditional love and dedication, continued to do whatever she could for her son. So much so that when he was living in a totally different town, somewhere in the center of Eretz Yisrael, she would go there once a week, and she would sweep and sponge his apartment, and she would cook for him so he would have meals when he was totally disconnected from Torah and mitzvahs. The love of this mother was so strong, and everyone knew that there was one moment in the week that they couldn't disrupt the mother, and that was by Hadlakas Ner Shabbos, where she would cry Dema'os Shalish and sob, begging the Rabbeinu Shalom to have banim ubnei banim oiskim b'Torah b'mitzvahs, children and grandchildren. She davened for each of her children and her grandchildren, but she had a special place for this particular son. The Rav that shared this story shared that eventually this young man married a girl, a Chiloni girl, a secular girl from a kibbutz, and established his own home. And that was really the last that the Rav that shared this story heard about it. He was living somewhere, a totally secular lifestyle, and his mother was still trying her hardest to keep a kesher with him. And then the mother passed away. This Rav that said over the story, he traveled, his name is Rav Kassel. He traveled to the United States one time, and he was hosted by a beautiful From Torah Dika Mishpacha. And when he ate by the Friday night meal by them, they were his host, he didn't know them. He said to them, your last name seems familiar, and you have an Israeli accent a little bit. Are you perhaps related to this family, the family that we had just talked about? And the fellow smiled and he goes, yes. He says, I heard that they had a son that, went off. I never heard what happened to him. And the son's smile widened, and so did his wife and his children's. And he said, by the way, you're looking at that son. Myself and my kibbutz wife, we had a tremendous isairis for Teshuvah, a wind for repentance and return, and we turned around our lives 180 degrees. We moved to the United States so we could start over. And he looked around the table of banim ubnei banim oiskim b'Torah u'b'mitzvahs. Maybe the tears and the tefillos of his mother in this world couldn't pilot ice, but at least her tears in the world to come somehow were able to impact. And her children eventually came back, and the incredible nachas that she must have had in the Olam Ha'elyon is off the charts. This was a mother that tried once, and she wasn't successful, and she pivoted and she tried again, and she never gave up on the chinuch of her child. Her tefillos for her child never stopped. And the Rebbeinu Shalom said, you did everything within your power. It's not up to you anymore. I'll take it over. Take that kikar of zahav, that large block of gold, throw it into the fire, and the most beautiful menorah will emerge.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org